Okay, guys. All right, good morning. Before we get started, I'm going to take attendance. We are going to be really quiet during attendance so that we can get that done. We are filming today, so if you want to wave hi to the camera, I found out last spring that's a lot less distracting. You have, while I take attendance, to wave and say hello to the camera without being super loud. So, as a reminder, my professor and fellow classmates will be looking at this video to see what I do well and what I can improve upon. And you guys...
Do you have...
For the ice, when they come to water.
Okay, Martin,
Here.
John,
Here.
Anna, Ivan,
Here.
Paul,
Here.
Brianna,
Here.
Johannes, Gabby, Jesus, Ruben, Melissa, Claudio,
Here.
Odalise, Jeremy,
Here.
Julian,
Here.
Giselle,
Here.
PJ.
Here.
You gotta have a new nickname, you gotta answer to.
Yes.
Alright, Oasis. Here. Jenny. Sorry, Jen.
Here.
Perfect. And Carlos.
Here.
Alright. Would you take the slip and the copies to the office? Mrs. Thomas should be down there and just get the code from her. Here, I just need three. Thank you very much. Okay. Welcome, 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 guys. So today we are going to go from the Reformation into the Scientific Revolution. So before we hop into the Scientific Revolution, I want to ask you guys about, did anyone have a memory from when they're small? When you learn something, it kind of just like blew your mind, right? Does anyone have one of those? They'd be comfortable sharing.
It was about dinosaurs.
It was about dinosaurs, good.
And it was like how something the meteorite killed them.
Okay. Does anyone else have any? Like, do you just remember like that sense of wonder, right? When it just was, your mind was like, whoa. Can't believe the world works that way, right? I'm sorry, what was that?
I burned myself with the
Iron
pole.
You burned yourself with the iron pole?
Yeah.
Okay. And that changed your world, right? Okay. Okay. Easy, guys. Focus. So the reason why we're talking about this is because within the space of about 150 years, what people thought they knew and how they reasoned about the world around them changed dramatically. Okay. Jen, I need you to be quiet and pay attention, please. I know you're not on camera. All right, so our big idea for the unit is that change can be evolutionary or revolutionary. And we're talking about this in conjunction with each of the units. We talked about it with the Reformation, back when we were talking about early democracy with the Greeks. So now, your essential questions for today are what political, social, and economic conditions led to the rise of revolutions and nationalism? And how did philosophical thinkers contribute to change? These are important because they can be applied throughout what we're learning for world history. So keep those questions in mind as we go on to discuss. Now, with these examples in mind, we're going to go into our scientific revolution, and I'm going to show you guys a couple of cartoons. Okay. All right. Okay. Anna, can you read this for me, class? See it?
What's an orbit? What's a planet?
Exactly. Does anyone think this is funny?
No.
No? Okay. So let's break it down. What's an orbit? Gravitational pull. That's half right. what's it gravitational pull from? It's any two planetary bodies, right? So, in orbit, the moon's in orbit around the Earth, the Earth's in orbit around the sun, right? Okay, so what's a planet?
A big rock.
Big rock. Okay. What was that? Pluto is a planet. Sometimes it's a dwarf planet. Sometimes it's not considered anything other than a traveling asteroid that got caught. Alright, so are we on a planet? Okay. What's elliptical? Does anyone know? Okay. This is a little bit earth sciencey for world history, but it's really good to know this. So what we have over here is a planet. Actually, we'll call this the sun. Not a planet, star, sun. And you have Earth, Mars, Venus. You have a lot going on, right? So the trick is that, do we go around in a circle or do we go around in an ellipsis? Does anyone know? An ellipsis? They are. Ovals are ellipses. So there's a math term for you today. So we don't travel around in a perfect circle, right? The way the gravitational pull works, we go around in an ellipsis. So these are really big ideas, right? Have you guys, when you were in school, when you were little, what did you learn? Did you learn we were the center of the universe or the sun was the center of our universe? Right? And is the sun even really the center of the universe? No. So this is a big idea. So before the scientific revolution, we're people. We're amazing. We're the center of everything, right? And the church taught us that God was the center of all of that. And so people, when they started to learn about nature and that science didn't match up with church teachings, it caused a lot of friction, right? So, let's see. Jeremy, why don't you read this one for me?
Galileo describes his discoveries to the church.
Good. Galileo describes his discoveries to the church. Now, is this one funny?
Yeah.
Why is it funny?
He gets hit in the head with the telescope.
Because gratuitous violence is always funny, obviously. Alright, he's getting hit in the head with the telescope. Why do you think he's getting hit in the head with the telescope?
Because
They believe the moon was
They believe everything else revolves around the Earth.
Okay, one at a time. Julian, you said it. Go ahead.
because the church doesn't agree with what he discovered.
Good. And John, why would that be a problem for the church? You said it too. What does it mess with?
the Bible. Well, the Bible.
Messes with the Bible? Okay. And more specifically, I mean, the Bible doesn't really talk about the earth being the center of the world, right? But the church has been teaching us that for the last 1,600 years up to this point, right? So this is a little bit of a problem, because what does it challenge? Their beliefs, but more important, what does the church have a lot of? Power. Good, Johanna. So they have a lot of power, and does this challenge their authority?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, good. So finally, so you guys find this one really funny. Thank you, Yesenia. All right. Let's see. Elise, can you read that?
Examples of pre-scientific communication. The Earth is flat. The sun revolves around the Earth. Global warming is a hoax.
Okay. And this says the Republican caucus. So normally I don't bring political cartoons in, but I kind of like this one. So the scientific revolution now. So what's this cartoon implying? Okay, I'm sorry, Oasis, you're gonna have to be louder. Okay, so these are things that people used to think, right? That the earth was flat, the sun revolves around the earth, which we know not to be true now. So what is the joke here about global warming being a hoax, right? And who thinks that global warming is a hoax? The Republicans, right? So this is supposed to be funny because what do you guys think? In 200 years, are we going to look back at this period? Will some person be sitting in a world history classroom somewhere and will they have a cartoon up about how the Republicans thought global warming and climate change didn't exist? gonna be talking about it like it's the scientific revolution, like we are?
Yeah.
Think so? I don't know, but it's good food for thought, right? You know, at the beginning of the scientific revolution, there were a lot of people, especially in the church, who didn't agree with what they were thinking, right? Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to read chapter 6, sections 1 and 2. We're going to do it out loud. Afterwards, I'm going to have you guys sit in your desk groups to work on a concept map of the causes of the scientific revolution. Then we'll come back together for a quick discussion, and then for homework, you guys will have workbook pages for sections 6.1 and 6.2, which is pages 24 and 25. And then you'll have a writing assignment. And if you brought your Chromebooks, like we talked about yesterday, then you can use your Chromebooks to type it up and email it to me so that I can read it more easily. Okay, so everyone pull out your textbooks, turn to page 189.
Wow, guys.
I still have a cold, so if you guys can't hear me, let me know and I'll speak louder or say it over. Oh, those are Emily and Evie. I think you guys have heard me talk about my girls,
Are they
so.
eating pudding?
I'm sorry, what?
Are they eating pudding?
They're eating pineapple ice cream.
Bomb.
All about ice cream.
Bomb.
They're little, but that's last year. So they're 3 and 6 in that picture. Okay. Who wants to start me off with reading? Sorry, did I have a volunteer? Oh, page 169.
Thank you.
Or wait, sorry.
189.
189, thank you. I can't read my own notes. Oh no. Okay. Well, Brianna, do you want to read?
I got you.
Sure. Setting the stage?
Yes, please. Setting the stage for the scientific revolution.
Setting the stage. As you recall, the period between 1300 and 1600 was a time of great change in Europe. The Renaissance of the birth of learning and the arts inspired a spirit of curiosity in many fields. Scholars began to question ideas that had been accepted for hundreds of years. Meanwhile, the religious movement known as the Reformation prompted followers to challenge accepted ways of thinking about God and salvation. While the Reformation was taking place, another revolution in European thought had begun, one that would permanently change how people viewed the physical world.
Okay, can you popcorn to someone else?
Ruben?
Okay, Ruben, be really loud since the air conditioner's on. Roots of modern science.
The roots of modern science. Before 1500, scholars generally decided what was true or false by referring to an ancient Greek or Roman author or to the Bible. Few European scholars challenged the scientific ideas of the ancient thinkers or the church by carefully observing nature for themselves. The medieval view. During the Middle Ages, most scholars believed that the Earth was an immovable object located at the center of the universe. According to that belief, the moon, the sun, the planets all move in perfectly circular paths around the Earth. Common sense seemed to support this view. After all, the sun appeared to be moving around the Earth as it rose in the morning and set in the evening. This Earth-centered view of the universe was called the geocentric theory.
Good. Geocentric theory.
The idea came from Aristotle, the Greek philosopher of the 4th century BC. The Greek astronomer
Ptolemy.
planned and explained the theory in the 2nd century AD. In addition, Christianity taught that God had deliberately placed the earth at the center of the universe. Earth was thus a special place in which the great drama of life unfolded.
Okay, would you popcorn to someone else for a new way of thinking?
Itself.
Be loud.
Beginning in the a new way of thinking about the natural world. That way was based upon careful observation and a willingness to accept the combination of discoveries and circumstances led to scientific revelations and helped spread its impact. During the Renaissance, European explorers traveled to Africa, Asia, and the Americas. Such lands were inhabited by people and animals experiencing the unknown in Europe. These discoveries opened Europeans to the possibility that there were new truths to be found. The invention of the printing press during this period helped spread challenging ideas, both old and new, more widely among Europe's thinkers. The age of European also showed a great deal of scientific research, especially in astronomy and mathematics. Navigators needed better instruments than the Egyptians, for example, to determine the location in the open sea. The scientists began to look more closely at the world around them. They made observations that did not match the age used. They found that they had reached the limit of their classical knowledge, yet they still needed more.
Okay, so Maurice, I'll pick someone else to read. Part of what's going on during this period is part of what made Columbus's voyage so brave, right? Was that they can't measure latitude, right? So you think you're sailing across, but who knows if you're going like this or if you're sailing from Africa to the United States. If you look at the big world map right there, so right, you have your longitudinal lines that go across, so you can't really measure those. I'm sorry, latitude lines go across. So your latitudinal lines, you can't measure those, and so it was really hard for ships to get where they thought they were going, right? And they hadn't accurately mapped all the continents. Okay, would you pick someone to read a revolutionary model of the universe? Please. Okay, Jeremy, be loud, please.
The revolutionary model of the universe. An early challenge to accept scientific thinking came in the field of astronomy. It started when a small group of scholars began to question the heliocentric theory. Although backed by authority and common sense, the heliocentric theory did not accurately explain the movements of the sun, moon, and planets. This problem troubled a college cleric and astronomer named Nicholas Copernicus. In the early 1500s, Copernicus became interested in an old Greek idea that the sun stood at the center of the universe. After studying planetary movements for more than 25 years, Copernicus reasoned that indeed the stars, the Earth, and the other planets revolved around the sun. Copernicus' heliocentric or sun-centered theory still did not completely explain why the planets rotated the way they did. He also knew that most scholars and clergy would reject this theory because it contradicted their religious views. Fearing ridiculous persecution, Copernicus did not publish his findings until 1543. The last year of his life, he received a copy of his book on the revolution of the heavenly bodies on his deathbed. The revolutionary Copernicus book caused little stir at first. Over the next century and a half, other scientists built on the foundation he had laid. The Danish astronomer Tycho Brahe carefully recorded the movements of the planet for many years. Brahe produced mountains of accurate databases and observations. However, it was left to the scholars to make mathematical sense of it. After Brahe's process in 1601, his assistant, a brilliant mathematician named Johannes Kepler, continued his work. After studying Brahe's theory, Kepler concluded that certain mathematical laws govern planetary motion. One of these laws shows that the planets revolve around the sun in elliptical orbit instead of circles, as was previously thought. Kepler's law showed that Copernicus' basic ideas were true. They demonstrated mathematically that the planets revolved around the sun.
Okay, can you popcorn someone else for Galileo's discoveries?
Galileo's discoveries. An Italian scientist named Galilei built on the new theories about astronomy. As a young man, Galileo learned that a Dutch lensmaker had built an instrument that shed enlarged far off objects. Galileo built his own telescope and used it to study the heavens in 1609. Then in 1610, he published a small book called Starry Messenger, which describes his astonishing observation. Galileo announced that Jupiter had 4 moons and that the sun had dark spots. He also noted that the Earth's moon had a rough and uneven surface. This shattered Aristotle's theory that the moon and stars were made of pure, perfect substance. Galileo's observations, as well as his laws of motion, also clearly supported the theories of Copernicus. Conflict with the Church. Galileo's findings frightened both Catholic and Protestant leaders because they went against church teachings and authority. If people believed the church could be wrong about this, they could question other church teachings as well. In 1616, the Catholic Church warned Galileo not to defend the ideas of Copernicus. Although Galileo remained publicly silent, he continued his studies Then in 1682, he published Dialogue concerning the two chief world systems. This book presented the ideas of both Copernicus and Ptolemy, but it clearly showed that Galileo supported the Copernican theory. The Pope angrily summoned Galileo to Rome to stand trial before the Inquisition. Galileo stood before the court in 1633 under the threat of torture. He knelt before the cardinals and read aloud a signed confession. In it, he agreed that the ideas of Copernicus were false.
Okay, will you read the primary source?
With sincere heat and unpretended faith, I abjure, curse, and test the aforesaid errors and heresies, that Copernicus and also every other error, contrary to the Holy Church, and I swear that in the future I will never again say or assert anything that might cause a similar suspicion toward me.
Okay, good. Finish the last bit, please.
Galileo was never again a free man. He lived under house arrest and died 1642 at his villa near Florence. However, his books and ideas still spread all over Europe. In 1892, the Catholic Church officially acknowledged that Galileo had been right.
Okay, pause for just a second before you do the next person. Can anyone do the math on that? 1992 minus 1642? Pretty good, Paul. 350 years. That's how long it took for the Catholic Church to admit that they were wrong, right? And for years and years and years. Yes, Mrs. Thomas.
In the last 10 minutes of class, if you would leave me just a little time to announce who needs to come to tutoring after school today, I would very much appreciate it.
Absolutely, thank you for the reminder. Okay, so when we have all of these new things coming to light, geocentric theories versus heliocentric theories, and we have the invention of the telescope, right? It's amazing that Copernicus was able to do all of his work because the telescope hadn't even been invented, right? He's just observing heavenly bodies and doing the mathematics behind them without any real instrumentation. Okay, so Carlos, can you pick someone to read the scientific method, please? Oh, and actually, sorry, before we do that, can you guys tell me whether this change here was evolutionary or revolutionary? What we're seeing so far?
Ivan?
Okay, before Ivan reads, was it evolutionary or revolutionary change? Okay, why was it revolutionary? I hear lots of people saying that. Can you just say that a little bit louder, Martin?
Because Galileo was going against the thoughts of the church.
Right, he's going against the thoughts of the church, and it's revolutionary because people haven't spoken about this before, right? It didn't evolve out of the current standards and models of thinking. It's a radical departure, right? Big change. Okay, Ivan, you're up. Scientific method.
The scientific method. The revolution in scientific thinking that Copernicus, Kepler, and Galileo began eventually developed into a new approach to science called the scientific method. The scientific method is a logical procedure for gathering and testing ideas. It begins with a problem or question arising from an observation. Scientists next form a hypothesis or unproved assumption. The hypothesis is then tested in an experiment or on the basis of data. In the concept, scientists analyze and interpret their data to reach a new conclusion. That conclusion either confirms or disproves the hypothesis. The book on the scripture.
So his name is actually Bacon.
Bacon and Descartes. The scientific method did not develop overnight. However, two important thinkers of the 1600s, Francis Bacon and René Descartes, helped to advance the new approach. Francis Bacon, an English statesman and writer, had a passionate interest in science. He believed that by better understanding the world, scientists would generate practical knowledge that would improve people's lives. In his writings, Bacon attacked U.S. scholars for relying too heavily on the conclusions of Aristotle and other ancient thinkers. Instead of reasoning from abstract theories, he urged scientists to experiment and then draw conclusions. This approach is called empiricism, or the experimental method. In France, René Descartes also took a keen interest in science. He developed an analytical geometry which linked algebra and geometry. This provided an important new tool for scientific research. Like Bacon, Descartes believed that scientists need to reject old assumptions and teachings. As a mathematician, however, he approached gaining knowledge differently than Bacon. Rather than using experimentation, Descartes relied on mathematics and logic. He believed that everything should be doubted until proved by reason. The only thing he knew for certain was that he existed because, as he reasoned, the only thing, as he wrote, I think, therefore I am, from the starting point. He followed a train of strict reasoning to arrive at their basic truths. Modern scientific methods are based on ideas of Bacon and Descartes. Scientists have shown that observation and experimentation, together with general laws that can be expressed mathematically, can lead to a better understanding of the natural world.
Thank you, Ivan. Before you pick the next person, quickly. Okay, before you pick the next person to read. So why are Bacon and Descartes really important? What did they bring to the table of the scientific revolution? Sorry, what was that?
Scientific method.
They brought the scientific method. And what are you guys taught to always follow in science class? The scientific method, right? You're supposed to make a hypothesis, you're supposed to gather evidence, you're supposed to investigate, and then you're supposed to test, right? Because it has to be reproducible. You can't just make it happen once. Okay, Ivan, pick someone to read Newton Explains the Law of Gravity. Okay, sorry, you're gonna have to be much louder, Jonathan. So everyone over here can hear you.
By the mid-1600s, the accomplishments of Copernicus, Kepler, and Galileo had gathered the old views of astronomy and physics. Later, the great English scientist Isaac Newton hoped to bring together their breakthroughs under a single theory of motion. Newton studied mathematics and physics at Cambridge University. By the time he was 26, Newton was certain that all physical objects were affected equally by the same forces. Newton's discovery was the same force ruled motion of the planets and all matter on Earth and in space. The key idea that linked motion in the heavens with motion on the Earth was the law of universal gravitation. According to this law, every object in the universe attracts every other object. The degree of attraction depends on the mass of the object and the distance between them. In 1687, Newton published his ideas in a work called The Mathematical Principles of Natural Philosophy. It was one of the most important scientific books ever written. The universe he described was like a giant clock. Its parts all worked together perfectly in ways that could be expressed mathematically. Newton believed that God was the creator of this orderly universe, the clock maker who had set everything in motion. The scientific revolution spread. As astronomers,
Sorry, go ahead and popcorn to something.
the scientific revolution spreads. As astronomers explored the secrets of the universe, other scientists began to study the secret of nature on Earth. Careful observation and the use of the scientific method eventually became important in many different fields. scientific instrument. Scientists developed new tools and instruments to make the precise observation that the scientific method demanded. The first microscope was invented by a Dutch maker of eyeglasses.
Zacharias Janssen. Or Janssen.
In 1590. In the 1670s, the Dutch draper,
Yes, drapery.
merchant and amateur scientist named Anton van Leeuwenhoek used a microscope to observe bacteria swimming in two streams. He also examined red blood cells for the first time. In 1643, one of Galileo's students,
Evangelista Tarsalini.
developed the first mercury barometer, a tool for measuring atmospheric pressures and predicting weather. In 1714, the German physicist Fahrenheit made the first thermometer to use mercury in glass. Fahrenheit's thermometer shows water freezing at 32 degrees. His Sweden astronomer and Celsius created another scale for the mercury thermometer in 1746. Celsius scale showed freezing point at 0.
Okay. Before you popcorn to somebody new, how do we measure temperature today in Fahrenheit or Celsius? And how does Europe measure their temperature? Okay, good. So these scales have only been around for roughly the last 300 years, right? All right. Will you popcorn to someone else, please, to read Medicine in the Human Body? Wait, Martin, didn't you already read?
No. Medicine in the human body. During the Middle Ages, European doctors had accepted the fact of writings of an ancient Greek physician named Galen. However, Galen had never dissected the body of a human being. Instead, he had studied the anatomy of legs and other organs. Galen assumed that human anatomy was as much a jealous decision of James Andreas Claudius proved Galen's suspicions. Andreas dissected a human corpse and published his observations. His book on the structure of the human body was filled with detailed drawings of human organs, bones, and fingers. In the late 1700s, British physician Edward Jenner introduced the plant smallpox incubation using live smallpox germs had been practiced in Asia for centuries. While beneficial, this technique could also be dangerous. Jenner discovered that inoculation with germs from a cattle disease called cowpox gave permanent protection for smallpox and for humans. Because cowpox was a much milder disease, the risk of this form of inoculation were much lower. Jenner used cowpox to produce the world's first vaccine. Discoveries in chemistry. Robert Boyle, biochemistry, pioneered the use of the scientific method in chemistry. He is considered the founder of modern chemistry and a book called the Spectacle Chemistry. Boyle challenged Aristotle's ideas that the physical world consisted of four elements: earth, air, fire, and water. Instead, Boyle proposed that matter was made up of smaller primary particles that joined together into particles. Boyle makes his contribution to chemistry and physics as well. This law explains how the volume, temperature, and pressure of gas are notions of this reason in order which spurred so many breakthroughs in science. Soon moved into the fields of life. Philosophers and scholars across the world began to non-catch into one given condition. Most notably, the rise and liberties of ordinary citizens. These thinkers helped the youth to usher challenge all age relationship between government and its people, and eventually challenge forever the political landscape of our society.
Good. Okay, before we move on to the Enlightenment in Europe, we're going to do a quick whip around. So I'm going to point to each one of you, be ready, and you're going to tell me what was one thing you learned about the scientific revolution. Does not have to be everyone, I realize, is not going to have a new and unique thing, but here's the key. I don't want to hear 5 in a row, so be prepared. Let's start with Melissa.
It took them 350 years.
Sorry, the air is on me really loud.
It took them 350 years to actually let his teachings.
Okay, for the Catholic Church to acknowledge Galileo's teachings. Okay, Elise.
Galileo didn't take when he took back what he said and not stood up for it.
Okay, so we all know he had to go stand trial in the court of the Inquisition, right? So he was tortured, and so he took back what he said, right? Okay, Gabby.
I learned that some physicians didn't really try to explore the human body, but other animals.
Okay, Jeremy.
Copernicus created the heliocentric theory, which proves the geocentric theory is wrong.
Thank you. Bye, guys. Not today. Carlos.
Galileo was never free after his trial.
Okay. So the Catholic Church didn't only say take it back. They said take it back and we're not going to let you out of our sight, right? So that you can't challenge our authority. PJ.
Bacon and Descartes
Descartes.
developed analytical geometry.
Okay. So here we have analytical geometry, that thing that might be the bane of some of your existence in your future. Okay. John.
Robert Boyle is the father of chemistry.
Okay, Robert Boyle's the father of chemistry. Ruben.
Edward Jenner introduced the vaccine
Okay, the
for
vaccine.
smallpox.
Okay. Which is pretty cool. He noticed that a lot of dairy maids were not getting smallpox, and it turns out it's because they were getting cowpox, right? So he observed, did some experiments, had some reproducible tests, and was able to come up with the vaccination. Paul.
The Celsius thermometer was made in 1742.
Okay. Let's see, Giselle. Okay. They're challenging the established ideas. Jen.
The first microscope was invented by Frank.
Good. So that's pretty cool. Before, you could only observe things with the naked eye, right? You couldn't observe microbes and bacteria and the blood cells and other things. Brianna?
Renee Descartes, I think.
Descartes.
Descartes developed analytical geometry.
Okay. Claudia?
Galileo, he disagreed with Copernicus because the church was basically forced him to.
Okay. Good. Martin?
Saturn was the first person to get recognition of the body and origin.
Okay. Jesus?
Gladys assuming that the human
And after some experimentation, we know that's true or not true? Not true. Good. Ivan?
Multiple scientists contributed to the scientific revolution.
Okay. Johanna? Okay. Oasis?
Galileo made his own telescope.
Good. Anna? Sorry, what was that? And they created the scientific method. Great. Okay. So a lot of this independence and originality really impacted the thinking of the Enlightenment in Europe. So we're going to read about that before we do our concept map. Actually, no. We're going to do our concept map first. Anna, can you help pass these out, please? Thank you. Okay. Today's a shorter day. I forgot about that.
That's all right. Period 6 ends at 10:35.
Perfect, okay. So I'm going to give you guys 10 minutes to complete the concept maps at your table. We've just reviewed a lot of causes and things that contributed to this period of 150 years being the scientific revolution. So you guys, can you guys tell me why we use concept maps? Why are they important? Why are concept maps important? What do they help us do?
Understand the concept.
They help us understand the concept. They help us organize a lot of our knowledge, right? To more manageable chunks. So one example that I did not hear mentioned as we went around the room would be, what do we think about heliocentric theory, right? So you can put heliocentric, if I can spell it correctly. I want you to add or divide these boxes in half. So I want you to have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 total on this sheet for it to be complete. So make sure you add these in and that you understand them at your table groups. I will wander around. You guys worked with concept maps before, so does anyone have any questions? Okay, go ahead and work in your groups. I'll be around.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes,
do you mind if I make my announcement?
No, not at all. Okay, while you guys are working in your groups, Mrs. Thomas is going to announce for tutoring, which is required if you have a CD or an F, you get extra credit. So, no, but I'll tell Mrs. Thomas.
Tutoring begins at 2:30 today. It's an hour. What you wind up doing is you wind up creating a study guide for the test over chapter 1, which will be next week, probably Thursday and Friday. It's going to be worth 5 extra credit points. If I don't call your name, you're welcome to come voluntarily. If I do call your name, it's mandatory.
Giselle turn in some homework.
Okay.
So that will factor into her.
Okay. Martine Avilar, you need to come to tutoring. John Brito, you need to come to tutoring. Brianna Hernandez, you need to come to tutoring. Now, John Lara, are you in this class?
No.
It's very confusing because he's now in 2 of my classes. They haven't changed it. Thank you, everyone. Okay. Ruben Lozano, you need to come to tutoring. Melissa Louise, you need to come to tutoring. Claudio Monsivallez, you need to come to tutoring.
Okay, I just had a good question. Like with heliocentric theory, I want you guys to just put a brief description, Earth revolves around the sun.
Itzel Perez, you need to come to tutoring. Oasis Rodarte, you need to come to tutoring. And that's everybody. Is there anybody who wants to double check if their name is on the tutoring list?
Can you check my name?
Last name, PJ, what?
Perez.
Perez?
You check my name?
No, you have a B.
You check my name?
What's your last name?
Ortiz.
It's after mine.
Julian Ortiz, you have a B. You can come voluntarily, but you're not required to come.
Okay, I'm not coming.
Okay. Anybody else? So if I called your name, you need to show up, yes? Campos? No. You have an A. Yes. Morales? You guys need to be better listeners.
No, they just want to hear the grade.
Odalise?
Yeah.
You do not need to come to tutoring, yes?
Velasco?
Oh my god.
No, you do not need to come to tutoring. Anybody else? Okay. You have between 2:15 and 2:30, you have time to go to the bathroom, get a snack, get a drink, call your mother if you thought you were gonna get picked up at 2:15, but be here at 2:30, okay?
Help with the geocentric theory.
No, that's
Oh, about tutoring?
it's inaccurate. So that's not part of the regulation. This law explains how the volume, temperature, and pressure of a gas then I put Newton invents calculated it doesn't fake.
How are we doing on that?
Like I can roll.
You have the same book as that.
You guys can look at the timeline on pages 192 and 193. There's some major events there. How are we doing over here? Okay, make sure you put a brief description about what it is. You have to be able to tell me what the heliocentric theory is for the scientific method. So what would you say for like scientific method?
First you must get a hypothesis, then run it through many tests and be able to reproduce it.
Yeah, you can say it's a formal method of investigation too, right? Since I'm not your biology teacher, I won't quiz you on the steps of the scientific method. Yeah. Okay, do you guys have any questions though? Where did Gabby go?
She went to the restroom.
How are we doing over here? Okay, so I wrote heliocentric theory down, so I gave you one, right?
First microscope invented by
And as you go through, these are a lot of big events contributed, right? So just make sure you put a brief description with it so that you can remember for your test what it's about. So heliocentric theory is that the sun or the earth revolves around the sun, right?
Yeah.
We get you set up. Okay, you have 5 more minutes and we're going to complete our reading. Oasis Mark, how are we doing? Okay. Good work.
What about the first
Yes,
thermometer?
you just need 10 total, so you have 6. You just need to add 4. So, it just has to be a couple words that I know you know what it is. Because I don't want you just whole things in the books that won't do well on the test, right? Yeah, it's just that's part of it. It does not matter. If you want to do extra boxes or more, you just need to have 10 things done. So like this is 1, this is 2, right? Okay. Hey, don't forget this strip over here has a lot of really good things that have memories.
Why?
So we need 2 more.
Yep.
Pick 3, the rest.
Thank you, Mr.
Now we don't talk.
Is Julian Ortiz or Ruben Lozano? Julian?
Ruben.
Come here. Ruben Lozano?
Okay, how we doing, guys?
Okay. Both here?
Okay.
Where are you on my paperwork?
How are we doing?
You're on academic probation.
You need 10 things. Yep. Perfect. Keep going.
What's
Good work.
holding you up? You've had it for like 3-4 days. You were supposed to get it, I said get it signed and get it back to me. It's due Monday? Then, so you've still gotta get it signed and you're gonna get it to me Monday. Okay, considering in Abbott. All right.
Jerry, do you have any questions?
Not specifically. When I give you the stuff, I want it back ASAP. You didn't get any paperwork?
Okay, I missed you on my first round. How are you doing? Gabby? Okay. Any questions?
Did you know what I gave you that paper to sign?
I'm sorry, you mean the discoveries, the what? Yes,
You
we
didn't get
do
paper
discoveries.
like
These are all events, right, that happened on the scientific revolution.
Okay,
You
well,
can use my example of their
I
heliocentric
will.
theory, and then you
Okay,
just want to
but
say,
your
you
math
know,
is
it's the
right.
theory of
Okay.
the Earth
Get it
revolving around the
signed,
sun.
get it back to me by
Okay.
Monday. This
Because I want
is
you to
week
know
2, so get it signed, have
what
it
you're
signed
writing,
for week
right,
1 and week
about
2.
the events,
Okay?
Sorry, that's my water. Yeah.
Good.
Thank you very much. Do they all look pretty reasonable?
Week 1, week 2, have them sign it. I'm your history teacher, I'll sign it too. Did last year or this year, are you doing poorly in either English or science? Just math. Just week 1 and week 2.
Look at
And I find this frustrating because it's a lot of stuff.
Okay.
But if it gets you to get a better grade,
Okay, guys, we're gonna read about the alignment now.
Okay.
You guys can complete your concept maps this weekend for homework. Okay, so now you are turning to page 195. Sorry, what? Okay, you guys are actually, Cornell Notes is for period 6, so since Mrs. Thomas, I'm teaching, sorry, this is 6th, it's from period 7, because I'm teaching 6th and 8th. So, for you guys, you're going to do the concept map, then you're going to have a 1 to 2 paragraph writing assignment, and the workbook pages for 6-1 and 6-2. So let's go ahead and turn to page 195. And who has not read? stay away from that. Anna, can you read Setting the Stage and Two Views on Government, please, and then popcorn to someone else for the philosophical advocate for reason, please? And be very loud, please. So how is Locke different from the U.S. Constitution? What does Locke think are our natural rights? Life, liberty, and what? Okay. Wait, life, liberty, and what was the third one?
Property.
Property, okay. What do we have the right to under the U.S. Constitution?
Pursuit of happiness.
Good, the pursuit of happiness. Why do you think we don't have the right to property as part of that? So when the Constitution was made, what did we have in the U.S.?
The liberty and the pursuit of happiness.
Well, but why is it the pursuit of happiness? Why don't we have the right to property? Claudia, do you know? No? Okay, what did we have in the U.S. at the time when we were a colony of England?
Gold.
We had some gold, but what did we really have more of? We did have slaves. Good, that's where I'm going with that. So we had cotton, right? And crops, lots of cash crops, lots of tobacco. What's a really cost-effective way to farm? Use slave labor, right? So we're not guaranteeing people the right to property when we own other people's property, right? So that's one difference that you'll see. Okay. Anna, can you pick someone to read the Philosophes Advocate for Reason, please? Who hasn't read yet?
Jeremy? Or Dallas? I've already.
Jeremy actually did read. You read, right? Elise, can you read loudly, please? The Philosophes Advocate Reason, and then popcorn when you get to Montesquieu and the separation of powers, please.
The Enlightenment reached its height in France in the mid-1700s. Paris became the meeting place for people who wanted to discuss politics and ideas. The social critics of this period in France were known as philosophers. The French word for philosophers, the philosophe, believed that people could apply reason to all aspects of life. Just as Isaac Newton had applied reason to science, 5 concepts formed the core of their beliefs. Reason. Enlightened thinkers believed truth could be discovered through reason or logical thinking. Nature. The philosophers believed that what was natural was also good and reasonable. Happiness. The philosophers rejected the medieval notion that people should find joy in the hereafter and urged people to seek well-being on earth. Progress. The philosophers stressed that society and humankind could improve. Liberty. The philosophers called for the liberties that the English people had won in the glorious Revolution and Bill of Rights. Volunteer combats and intolerance. Probably the most brilliant and influential of the philosophers was Francis Mariette, using the pen name Voltaire. He published more than 70 books of political essays, philosophy, and drama. Voltaire often used satire against his opponents. He made frequent targets of the clergy, the aristocracy, and the government. His sharp tongue made him enemies at the French court, and twice he was sent to prison. After his second jail term, Voltaire was exiled to England for more than 2 years. Although he made powerful enemies, Voltaire never stopped fighting for tolerance, reason, freedom of and religious belief, and freedom of speech. He used his quill pen as if it were a deadly weapon in a thinker's war against humanity's worst enemies, intolerance, prejudice, and superstition. He summed up his staunch defense of liberty in one of his most famous quotes: "I do not agree with the word you say, but will defend to the death your right to say it."
Okay, will you popcorn to somebody else for Montesquieu and separation of powers?
Paul.
Okay, Paul, you're up. Montesquieu.
Montesquieu and the operation and separation of powers. Another influential French writer, the Baron de Montesquieu, devoted himself to the study of political liberty. Montesquieu believed that Britain was the best governed and most politically balanced country of his own day. The British king and his ministers held executive power. They carried out the laws of the state. The members of parliament held legislative power. They made the laws. The judges of the English courts held judicial power. They interpreted the laws to see how each applied to a specific case. Montesquieu called this division of power among different branches separation of powers. Montesquieu oversimplified the British system. It did not actually separate powers this way. His idea, however, became a part of his most famous book, On the Spirit of Laws. In this book, Montesquieu proposed that separation of powers would keep any individual or group from gaining total control of the government. Power, he wrote, should be a check to power. This idea later would be called checks and balances. Montesquieu's book was admired by political leaders in the British colonies of North America. His ideas about separation of powers and checks and balances became the basis for the United States Constitution. Rousseau, champion for freedom.
Oh, sorry, if you want to popcorn to somebody else to read Rousseau.
Jennifer.
Okay.
Philosophy Jean Jacques Rousseau was personally committed to individual freedom. The son of four Swiss watchmaker was recognized as a writer of his estate, brilliant and controversial figure. Rousseau strongly disagreed with the religious focus on many lines.
Maybe a little bit louder, Jen.
Most philosophies believe that reason, science, and art would improve life for all people. Rousseau, however, argued that civilization corrupts people's natural goodness. Man is born free and everywhere he is free to live. Rousseau believed that the only good government was one that was really born by the people and guided by the general will of society and democracy. Under such a government, people agreed to give up on some of the freedom in favor of common good. In 1762, he explained his political philosophy in a book called The Social Contract. This view of the social contract differed greatly from that of Hobbes.
From Hobbes.
From Hobbes, the social contract was an agreement between society and its government. It was an agreement among free individuals to make society like and government.
Okay, pause here, because that's a really big distinction, right? So Hobbes believes that the social contract is an agreement between society and its government. For Rousseau, it's an agreement among free individuals to create a society and government. So that's a big deal because Rousseau, it's about individuals, right? And Hobbes is more about the social good and the way society interacts with government, okay? Read the last little bit, please, Jen, and then popcorn.
Rousseau argued that legitimate government came from the concept of a government. However, Rousseau believed too much border democracy not promoted. He argued that all people were equal and that titles of nobility should be abolished. Rousseau ideas inspired millions of leaders and first revolution nobility was being
Okay, popcorn. Okay, be loud, John. Vicaria promotes criminal justice.
Vicaria promotes criminal justice. Italian philosopher named Sartre, Vicaria, turned his thoughts into the justice system. He believed that laws and justice preserve social order, not to average criminals. Vicaria regularly criticized common abuses of justice. They included torture of witnesses, and suspects, irregular proceedings and trials, and punishments that were arbitrary or cruel. He argued that a person accused of a crime should receive a speedy trial, and that torture should never be used. Moreover, he said that the degree of punishment should be based on the seriousness of the crime. He also believed that capital punishment should be abolished. Vicaria based his ideas about justice on the principle that government should seek the greatest good for the greatest number of people. His ideas influenced criminal law reforms in Europe, North America.
Okay, do you have a right to a free and fair and speedy trial in the U.S.? Yes, you do. You can help thank Vicaria for that right. Okay, John, popcorn to Elise, Gabby, how about you both read? Okay, either of them to read Women in the Enlightenment.
Gabby.
Be loud, Gabby.
Women and the Enlightenment. The philosophies changed many assumptions about government and society, but they often took a traditional view toward women.
Okay, Gabby, can you come up to the middle here so that we can hear you with the air for being louder? You can sit in my chair. You can be me.
It's because you're good, that's why
You've
she's
got
doing
it.
this to you.
Sorry, the air is really loud over here. If we turn it off, we'll all be hot. Okay.
The philosophies changed many assumptions about government and society, but they often took a traditional view toward women. So, for example, developed many progressive ideas about education. However, he believes that a girl's education should mainly teach her how to be a helpful wife and mother. Other male social critics scolded women for reading novels because they thought it encouraged idleness and wickedness. Still, some male writers argued for more education for women and for women's equality in marriage. Women writers also tried to improve the status of women. In 1694, the English writer Mary Astell published a serious proposal to the ladies. Her book addressed the lack of educational opportunities for women. In later writings, she used Enlightenment arguments about government to criticize the unequal relationship between men and women in a marriage. She wrote, if absolute sovereignty be not necessary in the state, how comes it to be so in a family? If all men are born free, how is it that all women are born slaves? During the 1700s, other women picked up these themes. Among the most persuasive was Mary Wollstonecraft, who published an essay called A Vindication of the Rights of Women in 1792. In the essay, she disagreed with that women's education should be secondary to men's. Rather, she argues that women and men need education to become virtuous and useful. Wollstonecraft also urged women to enter the male-dominated fields of medicine and politics. Women made important contributions to the Enlightenment in other ways. In Paris and other European cities, wealthy women helped spread Enlightenment ideas through social gatherings called salons, which you will read about later in this chapter. One woman fortunate enough to receive an education in sciences was Emily de Châtelet. De Châtelet was an aristocrat trained as a mathematician and physicist. By translating Newton's work from Latin into French, she helped stimulate interest in science and math.
Thank you very much. Okay, so for homework, you guys need to read the last section, Legacy of the Enlightenment. You need to complete your concept map. You have workbook pages for chapter 6, sections 1 and 2, which are pages 24 and 25 in your workbook. And then you need to write down my essay prompt. You're going to like the DBQ essay. Does everyone remember what your document-based question essays are like? No. Okay, so as a reminder, you need to do it like a DBQ because the district, we're going to start doing those DBQ booklets soon. So it's which Enlightenment thinker do you believe had the most impact and why? That's your prompt. You need to have an opening sentence, at least 3 to 5 supporting sentences, and a concluding sentence. So 1 to 2 paragraphs on why you think that Enlightenment thinker was the most important and why. If you want to take a picture of it, feel free to get closer to the board. I doubt your Zoom is that good. Okay, so did you all get that? Workbook pages 24 and 25. Finish the concept map. And do your which Enlightenment thinker do you believe had the most impact and why?
You have a good weekend?
1 to 2 paragraphs. But remember, if you're only going to do one, I expect it to have, at least 4 supporting sentences. Plus your okay. All right, you guys are out. Have a really good weekend. For those of you who need to come to tutoring, this table, wait just a second. I need to shut the video off before you walk in front of the frame.